wow, we're all should be grateful for the opportunity for what's presented ahead of us. A great opponent coming to the Liberty Bowl this Saturday in Arkansas State. Quite excited. Our young men, our student athletes cannot wait. You guys know the time, the effort, and the preparation that it takes to get ready for a season. And this offseason has been one like any other. And our guys continue to keep the right mindset and the right focus moving forward with all of our attention and detail to a wonderful opponent on Saturday. Let me also start with this press conference by saying that, we cannot discuss COVID-related issues. That's something that our football program will keep in-house. And then also as far as opt-out, the process of that, any player that's chosen to opt out until the paperwork is signed or they come public, we will not discuss that either. And that will be our policy throughout the rest of the football season. Again, also in relation to COVID illness and how that relates to our team each and every week. So that being said, I'd like to open up to any questions.
All right, Terry Davis has the first question.
How you doing, Coach?
Good, Terry. How are you?
I know you said preseason, coming into season, the most important part will be depth. So how is the health of the team going into your first game this week?
Yeah, we feel pretty healthy. I think, as I've mentioned all offseason, I'm really excited about the depth of our defense. I think it's the best depth we've had now going on my 5th year here. I think we've got a good rotation of the defensive line. And then our linebackers, as you guys know, that's a veteran group and really like the depth there. Those guys move along. And then the back end, right, to be able to have guys like TJ Carr, Jacoby Francis, a rotational group at safety. We like that group. And I think that's, the depth on our defense side of the ball is exactly where we want it to be. Obviously, time will tell come this Saturday. And then offensively, we like our receiving core. We got a deep backfield. We know Brady White's our quarterback, but we like all those guys in that room as well. The offensive line, as we know, is just we're continue to find depth. I think every team in the country would say, hey, I'd love to have more depth at the offensive line. And that'll always be the case, especially with wearing my old hat as an O-line coach. And then, like our tight end. So, really, really pleased with the depth on the defense. I think offensively, we still got some work to do there. And I think we'll be able to see some of these young men step up week in and week out. And that's the other thing is, what kind of shape are we in? How are we going to be? You talk to coaches all throughout the country and said, man, we're not close to the same shape we've been. So depth will be important, especially early in the season.
All right, Cassie.
Happy game week, Coach. Just looking at the depth chart, Rodriguez-Clark, your first running back now. What gives you the confidence in him to go out there and be your featured back?
Yeah, Drew Clark's a young man that works hard, done the hard way. And people always said, who do I think would be a surprise, even a couple months ago. And I think Drew Clark's a guy that we have great faith in that can carry the rock. He's great in protections. He's got great hands, can be used in passing concepts as well. So a smart, hardworking, intelligent young man that that's excited to carry the rock. And we got full faith in him. I know our team does, his teammates do, and the coaching staff does. So I expect big things out of number 2 this year, and really excited to watch him run on Saturday.
All right, Steven Johnson.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good, Steven. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. You said earlier this has kind of been an off season unlike any other. So just for you personally, now that we're finally here on game week, what's just the feeling been like for you these last couple of days?
Yeah, to say that there's still not a lot of stuff going on is a stretch of the imagination. There's still a lot of things occurring every day outside of our control. But like I told our team, control what we can control, focus on what we can focus on. And, I'm at my happiest and at my best in between those white lines. But there is a sense of, okay, we've made it here. Obviously, we got to continue to stay healthy and sound the rest of this week so we can get to Saturday. There's a lot of protocols still in place, right, with more testing that's got to occur. Obviously, we want Arkansas State to be healthy and well also so we can play this game on Saturday night in front of a great national TV audience. But there's a lot of excitement, as you guys know, that I'm not one to hide my emotions, and I'll be smiling the rest of the week and just in order to get to Saturday. And guess what? We know we got a tough task at hand and a wonderful opponent in Arkansas State. But, game week, it's here. Let's roll.
All right, Evan Barnes.
Ryan, 2 questions. So just to clarify what you said earlier, you guys will not be by not discussing anything COVID. Does that mean there will be no updates as far as testing results leading into game week? Is that what you mean? And second, you mentioned Arkansas State obviously having a lot of depth on their side. what kind of challenges does that present for you guys, also having the depth, trying to, match a team that obviously has a lot of offense?
Yeah, Evan, I just think it's best to keep, unless our COVID numbers get out of control, to keep those results to ourselves. I think it's just for the personal factor of keeping things hidden. But as long as we feel safe and comfortable playing the game, that's something that we'll keep within our program. And we've talked to a lot of our student athletes about that. We share with them, and they obviously know what's occurring and what's going on. And then looking at the depth of Arkansas State, you're exactly right. I mean, they are a team that returns almost their entire offense, right? I mean, they got playmakers at wide receivers, their tight ends, they love their running backs. I mean, they got 2 quarterbacks that could play for most teams in the country. And then that offensive line, to return all 5 starters up front on their offensive line, man, I tell you what. And then their defense, right? They've got a good rotation there, and they've got some depth. I know they're excited about a lot of their individuals that they have there. Forrest Morrell's an all-conference, nose guard that's coming back off an injury. They got some big bodies in there. And, look, they're going to present some challenges. They're very well coached. They do a great job on special teams as well. So we know going into this, it's going to be a 4-quarter battle, but we're excited for the challenge and can't wait to get to Saturday.
All right, Anthony Robinson. I think you're muted. There we
Am
go.
I unmuted now? Can you hear me now?
Good.
Gotcha.
Okay. Coach, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good. You just mentioned that Rodriguez Clark would be your next man up as far as running back. When Patrick Taylor went out last season, that made way for Kenneth Gainwell to shine, and people were kind of like, he snuck up on us. Who's your sleeper guy at the running back position this year that may catch us by surprise?
That's a great question. You look at some of those guys that are in that room. We feel really comfortable with everybody that's in there. Coach Jones does a great job coaching and teaching those guys. So we do get a full rotation of guys in there. And you get guys like Kylan Watkins, who's got some dynamic speed and can do some different things. Marcavius Weaver's a name that people don't talk about enough that helps us out quite a bit on special teams, but wouldn't be shocked to see him get some reps in there. So really excited about all those guys. I think from top to bottom in that room, like I said, it's a well-coached room. I give Coach Jones a lot of credit. Obviously we've been known as, running back U for a long time. And, obviously credit goes back to D'Angelo Williams and even before him, but I like that room and they got the right mindset and they're excited.
One more question for you. The importance of and how excited are you that your opening game is going to be on ESPN this year?
Yeah, I tell our guys, I said, look, there may be 4,200 fans in the stands, friends and family, right? We may be able to look up there and recognize most of the people in there. But think about this. We have what a wonderful opportunity that's presented for us, right? To be on a national stage. I mean, I'm not just talking about millions. I truly believe it's going to be, one of the most watched games in a long time, simply because people are hungry to watch 2 great opponents go, right? Arkansas State has a great fan base and a great following. Obviously, we know we've got the best fans in the country here at Memphis. And I think the nation will want to come out and watch some good football, tune in Saturday night, 7 o'clock. So I know our guys do it, and some of these coaches will downplay it. But, I think it's important. Think about all these people we're playing for. So I even mentioned that to them this week, right? Every time you say, hey, maybe I'd like to pick up a video game controller, or maybe I'd rather, get on the phone. Maybe I should watch a little bit more film. Maybe I should take some more notes, make sure I should, doing the things I need to in order to be prepared, because literally all eyes will be on them Saturday night.
All right, Mike Sadie.
Morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Good. You've told us all along as you prepare for things, you have a plan, and then you have another plan, and then you have another plan. Some get thrown away, a lot get thrown away. As you prepared for this season opener, obviously, I know you're not going to talk specifics, but a lot of your game plan was based on the play of one great player. How difficult is it now, a handful of days beforehand, to kind of have to scrap that and kind of go in a different direction? Maybe not scrap it all, because you got a lot of talented players, but your game plan does change a little bit. How do you deal with that just a few days before kickoff?
I think, Mike, what makes us, all a bit more comforting is we've got wonderful coaches that understand, how to game plan and to take advantage of our personnel. You're right. We do have great personnel. I mean, I like our entire offense, and I think we got a lot of guys that are excited to step in and take up major roles and continue, develop and do what we're supposed to do offensively, right? We have a history of good offense here. We can't take it for granted, just assume it's going to happen. So, we're in there game planning right now, trying to figure out, better ways to attack a great Arkansas State defense that does present some issues to us. And, that's my job as the head coach, is to make sure I put our guys in the best position to have success on the field.
All right, Christian Fowler.
Can you hear me? All right, Coach, you've talked a lot about the defense throughout the offseason, and we know you have a lot of leaders returning. You've got a staff that's drawn a lot of praise, led by Mike McIntyre. How excited are you to see the product that defensive staff puts on the field on Saturday?
I can't wait. I'm so used to during most of my time, having my back into the field when the defense is out on the field, coaching up the offensive line, talking to the offensive players. So I can't wait to watch them play. I know our defensive players are excited. They appreciate, and I think they like this new scheme. I think they've adjusted well. You're exactly right. We do have some defensive veterans and some leaders, and I know they're fired up about it. I think it's one of those things, especially since it's been, since the Cotton Bowl, since they've been on display. I think a lot of them still have a bad taste in their mouth, which is great. I want them to be have a chip on their shoulder and hungry to go out there and try to prove themselves. And I think that's, not only as a defensive unit, but a lot of those individuals as well are excited to get back out there.
All right, Clayton. Clayton, you're muted.
There we go. Hey, Coach. Obviously some recent adversity and, long-term adversity that you guys have been facing over the last few months. Just, is it just like a get me to like September 5th at this point, or?
There has been adversity. That's the name of the game in college football. I think, programs throughout the country are facing some adversity. And I'll kind of share with you guys the story of, really, I believe the year was 2010, right? Minnesota Vikings. We just came off an NFC championship game versus the Saints. Brett Favre came back for one last hurrah. All was well in Minnesota and Minneapolis. We're excited about the season. We go into the season. Things start off a little rough. They fire the head coach 10 games into the season, and then Leslie Frazier takes over. Well, within the time frame, you want to talk about some adversity. The Metrodome collapsed. All right, so for the first time, our stadium collapsed just prior to us playing games. So we had to play a home game versus the Giants in Detroit. Then we go play the Eagles, and the worst blizzard in Philadelphia history occurs. Then they move the game to a Monday night. Well, the second worst blizzard in Philadelphia occurs when we play a Tuesday night game. So talk about some adversity there. Then we go play at the University of Minnesota's field because our Metrodome had been collapsed because of snow, and we go play, and the field is frozen over. And we get beat on a TE twist game, and Brett Favre gets knocked out because the ground, at that time, they didn't have heating coils. So our quarterback gets knocked down the last play. Brett Favre's history, he was getting knocked out on the back of the Gopher field. So constant adversity throughout that year. And so I just kind of look back and say, this is part of this profession. We've dealt with it before. There's always going to be new and challenges. But like I said, our young men, our student athletes are strong-minded and steadfast. So I appreciate their approach. I'm probably the one that gets more rattled than anybody. But I'm proud of the way our guys have stayed focused and just really looking forward to the task at hand.
All right, Stephen.
Coach, you mentioned they have two quarterbacks. I'm not sure how different their styles are, but are you guys kind of preparing to maybe face two quarterbacks, and what type of challenges that kind of present for this defense?
Yeah, we are, because both have played significant time, right? They had their guy that was their quarterback for most of the season, and obviously the one that led them, into their bowl game. And so they're both different types of quarterbacks. So I think as a defense, we've got to be prepared to make sure we're there for both, both challenges. I mean, they can both throw, and they're both athletic, but they present different, unique skill sets that, as a defense staff, especially with the first time implementing the scheme, we've got to be ready for two quarterbacks. And I think it would be wise of us to make sure we've kind of repped and talked about and watched film and showed our players a different film of each one of them.
All right, Terry Davis.
Another defensive question. We know we're going to get out the offense. So with this defense, would you try to do more of like a press coverage, or because since we've never seen this defense before, or it's going to be more of an attacking type defense?
I think you're going to see a little bit of everything, Terry. I'm not going to give away our secrets, but we got some surprises for Arkansas State for sure. I think it's, Like I said, we got a great defensive staff. I know that they'll be prepared, and they got a bunch of different ideas and answers for how they want to. But again, with that being said, Arkansas State is a high-powered offense. They play fast. They've had a lot of success. Coach Blake Anderson and his offensive staff, I mean, they're phenomenal. I mean, I give them a ton of credit because they've competed for championships every year, and we are going to have our hands full. But I've got full faith in our defensive staff to get the job done. And like I said, our guys, we believe in them, and I think we're going to see some neat things. I look forward to, like I said, watching them out there on the field and watch them perform, because it is a new scheme. But we've got some different wrinkles that I think that will assist us on Saturday.
All right, Mark Giannotto.
Hey, Ryan. Not to say you weren't prepared for your first game as head coach back in the Cotton Bowl, but everything you've had to go through since that game, how has it already changed you as a head coach? Like, just having gone through all the experiences you've gone through before this second game as head coach.
Yeah, to think the Cotton Bowl, playing Penn State in the Cotton Bowl as my first game would have been stressful. I think I've added some more gray hair, so that's certainly has aged me quite a bit these last few months, just with everything that's been going on. But again, I think the biggest thing is I have to have a positive mindset. I talk to the players constantly about the blinders and the focus. Well, it's just as much for me, right? Sometimes that's self-motivation, self-talk, saying, okay, hey, there's all this other stuff going on. Every day I've got to wake up and lead a group, right? Not just players, but also coaches and our support staff, and let them know, hey, everything's going to be okay. Another challenge, like Terry said, hey, take another plan, rip it up and throw it away, and we're ready for the next day and what other challenges may present. And look, there's no such thing as being in the clear, right? And we still got to kick that ball off and get there. So there's constantly things to deal with, but that's my job, is to try to, make sure those fires get put out with ease, and that we can, stay focused on Arkansas State and ourselves improving this week and having a great week of practice, and the guys handling their academics. But learned a lot, and I'm sure we'll continue to. And I think that goes for, Mark, for every head coach in the country, because like I mentioned to you guys 4 months ago, there's no handbook for this. I couldn't find it. I couldn't go on Amazon or Google, pandemic football coach and have many answers. So we're all learning. Maybe, 30 years from now, I can sit back and it'll be, chapter 12 through 14 is the 2020 football season, and we'll go from there.
Just to follow up real quick. You were talking about the defense. I know you got to know Mike McIntyre during the hiring process, but now that you've seen him in action, you've been around him for 6 months. What's the biggest impression you've had of him as your defensive coordinator so far?
Yeah, I knew that Coach Mack was a people-oriented, relationship-based person, but he truly cares. And for a guy that's had his type of success, from being a head coach to being a coordinator, he's had success at every level. He coached in the NFL. He's a guy that comes in and people said, well, are you worried about hiring a guy with former head coaching experience that's done this and that? And, because of an ego, he has no ego. He's 100% supportive. He works his tail off in recruiting. He's been all in on everything we want to do. So not that I ever worried about that, but it's just been even more impressive how much he cares, how much he loves being here at Memphis. And that's exciting to see. And I think it resonates very well with our players.
Thanks.
Jeff Calkins.
It has been a long time since you accepted your dream job standing up in front of us. Can you put into words what has happened since then? You could not have imagined it like this. And what will you be thinking when you run through that Tiger head? I presume the Tiger head's still going to be up. Will it be pride that the way you've negotiated it, relief? And then I have a follow-up if I could.
Sure. This is still my dream job, and nothing has changed that. It's every step along the way, from the Cotton Bowl to, all-season recruiting, to hiring a staff, to not having spring practice, to dealing with the things in society that we need to continue to address, to dealing with COVID, to all sorts of other issues. They're challenges, but I knew there'd be challenges taking this head coaching job. And I think, like I said before, I think people throughout our country, college football head coaches, are dealing with different challenges. And I know I got to take them head on and full speed ahead. So it's been a whirlwind. And I think I used that term, the week leading up to taking the job. Everyone said, how's it been? I said, even up to the Cotton Bowl. But It has been, but I've got to maintain my composure and keep that positive mindset, Jeff. So that the players understand that, hey, we're going to support them. We're going to be just fine coming up Saturday. Now, I do think running out of that tunnel may or may not be a Tiger head to be determined. I'll let you guys see that on Saturday. And we got some surprises. Maybe I'll be riding on the back of Tom 3, but that being said, well, I think that'll get some good attention on ESPN. But no, there will be a sense of pride. The relief, there's no such thing as relief in this profession. Maybe I'll have relief 20 years from now sitting on a beach and cheersing you somewhere. But, it's going to be a sense of pride. I'm proud of the way these young men have approached it. It certainly hasn't been easy on them. Like I said, they've got the right mindset. The ones have been steadfast and strong-minded. So credit and kudos to them. And so I think it would just be so excited to finally be back in our home stadium, even though it'll look different than the last time we were able to play in front of our fans. But a sense of pride, okay, here we go. And guess what? Get our mind right for a great opponent.
Is there I know your connection to the program was one of the reasons you got the job. It was sort of one of your main qualifications for the job was the way you already had relationships formed. Given what has happened, both with the protests and the COVID, how important has the fact that you had that relationship been to negotiating these few months?
Jeff, I think it's been very important. I think we're seeing throughout our country that there have been issues that have risen at every college program. I mean, really, I think every single college football program has dealt with something. Head coaches are dealing with things of different nature, different variety, all throughout our country. And I think we can be able to see that in the last few months. So the biggest thing for our players is, like I said, I don't need them all to like me, but if they respect and trust me, because I think the one thing is the trust has been built over the years, those guys that know me, and even those newcomers will continue to understand that. But the respect there, knowing that, look, my number one job is to serve them and do everything that, suits them in their best interest in us as a program. So I think it's been huge with those aspects and everything that's occurring, that relationship has been there, and I need to continue to work to build that.
Okay, Cassie?
Coach, do you get to have family there watching you coach your first game at the Liberty Bowl?
I do. It's exciting, right? I'm so grateful for so many people in my family that have poured in over the years. I mean, this is now 22 years, Cassie. I'm probably more years coaching than how old you are. So it's made me, a lot of hard work and a lot of efforts gone into this. So I'll be very excited. In fact, my parents will be there, which will mean a lot to me. And I've got other family coming, so I get emotional talking about it because it's been a long time coming. And I think people that sit back and say, man, it has been a crazy 3, 4, 5 months. It's a lot of invested, but again, it's all about the players and excited. But yeah, I'm excited to have family there watching us.
All right, Anthony Robinson.
Can you hear me? Okay. First thing, you mentioned a few minutes ago that you've learned a lot between the Cotton Bowl game and now. So I was wondering, what is the most significant thing, or what sticks out in your mind about what you learned? And then I have one more question after that.
Anthony, I think that's a unique way to look at it. It's how I've learned, not only just as a head football coach dealing with the program, but as a person, I've learned that I need to continue to listen more, right? I don't have all the answers. And I think not just listening to our staff, but listening to our players. And yeah, just because I've got the relationship there, and just because I feel like the players trust me and vice versa, it's allowed me, I've grown as a man. And, as a 40-year-old, I've continued to realize I've got to improve myself and listen to our players, and how can I make myself a better person? And by myself making myself a better person with understanding what our players are going through, it will make our program a better program. And then in turn, hopefully make society a little bit better. So, Anthony, that's the one thing is I've tried to improve myself as a person. And part of that's by listening to our players and seeing what I can do to help better their lives, to better our society altogether. And that's one of those things I've got every single day until the day they bury me. I've got to continue to do a better job with. And but that's probably been the biggest thing. It's not necessarily, hey, play calling or how to schedule meals and all that fun stuff. It's just growing as a man and continue to learn and listen.
By listening to the players, is there one thing that you hear from them like more than like from more than one person that they are all saying. And at the end of last season, there was a little uncertainty about whether your quarterback and your top receiver were going to be coming back. How much work have they put in since the end of last season, and how explosive do you expect that duo to be on the field this season?
Yeah, let me start with your first question, Anthony, is, I think that they've all had similar concerns, similar things that they've wanted to discuss. Again, a lot of those conversations stay within house, but the biggest thing is they just want to know that we support them, that we care for them, that especially me as the head coach, that we have their back and are willing to listen. I think just having those conversations have helped. We're certainly not where we need to be, and these things need to be ongoing. And that's my job. It just can't be a message once a week. It's got to be an everyday deal. And, what can we do to continue to implement and make things better for them and for our city and for, our world as a whole. And then referring to, Brady White and DeMonte Coxey, obviously the dynamic duo, excited to watch them. They have put in a lot of work. If anybody knows Brady White, man, I think he has a bed hidden up here somewhere at South Campus, because he constantly is up here working. And, DeMonte Coxey knows that he's expecting big things this season. There's a reason why they both came back. We couldn't be happier. That's what, gives me a sense of peace and eases my mind, because those are two veteran guys that do it the right way, that look forward to a lot of successful games this year with.
All right, Mike Sadie.
Coach, before I ask my question, is it Coxey or Coxey? Because he tells us grandma calls him Coxey and you guys call him Coxey. We need to know. Coxey, Coxey.
There you go. That's a great question. So his freshman year was Coxey. Then he told us, the same story about grandma calling him Coxey. And I think it's just going with it. I've got a little bit of that Southern twang, but I think some of that New Orleans part of it is Coxey. But I call him Coxey. He usually responds, or just Monte. So he's been, the nice thing is he's good with whatever, and there's no disrespect how you say it. He's just, hopefully you're yelling his name quite a bit on the PA system, and we get to say it many times. I think it doesn't matter how we say it, as long as it ends with a touchdown. I think we'll all be happy and have big smiles on our face.
Okay, so there's no wrong answer. But what I want to ask you about is, can you and these are two quick questions. Can you take us through the protocols this week? I know you're not going to give away COVID numbers, but when it comes to kickoff between now and then, how often will your team be tested? We heard the AAC a month ago say, at least 72 hours before kickoff. What's this week look like in terms of COVID protocols?
Yeah, Mike. So we tested the entire program organization, over 220 plus people yesterday. Okay. So we did that yesterday, and then we will test again due to conference rules Wednesday. And so that's part of that you talked about, the 72 hours. That's something that the conference did and implemented. And then you guys have already seen the protocols that say you now again need to test after the game. All right. So within, I believe it's, I don't want to give you the hour wrong, but I believe it's within 48 hours after a game, you have to test again. And so the plan is to test. Obviously, we just tested yesterday. We're testing again on Wednesday. And then we'll be testing again on Sunday. So, we're doing everything we can to make sure that our guys feel safe and sound, and that our opponents do, and that we're doing it the right way. But that's the entire bubble. That goes from, Jen Hanna and Tammy DeGroff all the way to the police. I mean, everybody that's around our program is going to make sure that we're on the right track.
And the other last thing I wanted to ask you was, you told us at the beginning of this whole thing that if a player wound up wanting to opt out, you would support that decision. There was a lot of backlash from Tiger fans when news came out yesterday. What was your take on that as the coach of these players that have to make a difficult decision in terms of, let's look at this not strictly on the football field if a player decides he doesn't want to play this year?
Yeah, I've had, many candid conversations with student athletes here, and we've talked about it. And as you guys know, and at least as our players know, I'm pretty straightforward about things, and I will support them. They have my support if they choose to opt out. I always talk to them about the different situations, but for health and safety reasons, or whatever they may choose, their reasons to be opting out, I will support them. And I think that's the right thing to do. And I don't know what each and every individual is going through. I try to have those conversations, but if any player does choose to, I support it. And the nice thing is it's not that we forget about him, but it's a next man up mentality. And I think our current roster understands the same.
All right, we're down to the final 3 questions, Coach. Evan Barnes.
All right, Ryan. There's a name on the depth chart that's a little unfamiliar to some of us been around the team. John Cartwright at D end. What can you tell us kind of about him and just kind of how his camp has been? Just seeing his growth.
Yeah, Evan John's a kind of a lunch pail type of guy. You're going to see him walk out on the field, and you're not going to say, "Oh, who's that massive defensive end?" He's a hard-working, hard-nosed type of guy that brings it down and down out. I do think he's a 3-down defensive lineman that can play, on first and second down, but also be there on third down as a pass rusher. He's very stout in the run game. He's strong, high motor type of guy. He's brought a lot to our defensive line room, and I think you guys know good and well. I think if anytime we can add depth to the line, to the trenches, offense and defensive line, we'll try to do so. But he's been an exciting addition. Coach Pope, I know, is fired up to have him in there, and he's fit in quite nicely.
All right, Christian.
Coach, as a former offensive line coach, we know that you're going to have your hand in that position group. And there's been a couple changes on the depth chart. Manny and Runner Lopez switching over to center. But the one to me that's more interesting is Dylan Parham moving the guard to tackle. And I think some people, if you know the game of football, you could tell his athletic ability that he could kick out to tackle. What's that transition been like for him throughout camp?
Well, Christian, you hit it right on the head. I mean, most of the time people are going to move tackles into guard, right? Because they say he's not athletic enough to play tackle, so let's move him inside, and they don't have to do as much. But Dylan Parham, you guys got to remember, he came to us as a tight end. They said he couldn't play tight end, and they moved him D-line. They said he couldn't play defensive line, and so I stood up on top of the table and said, I'll take him. And, obviously a productive 2-year starter for us at left guard. And I just think, being able to put an athlete who's strong, Dylan's weighing about almost 290 pounds now, and to have him at right tackle, you guys know I don't necessarily need obviously Obina's a nice 6'7" tackle, but we've had a lot of success with those 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" tackles here. And Dylan kind of fits that mold. He's athletic, he's strong, he's tough. His technique continues to improve every day. So really excited to watch him out there on the edge.
All right, and then lastly, Steven Johnson.
Coach, I saw on the depth chart that Taj kind of seemed like he'll be the start at one of those receivers positions. We kind of talked earlier about how intense that competition was all throughout the preseason. What did he kind of do or kind of just show you guys to kind of earn that first nod for Saturday?
Steven Taj has showed up day in and day out. He's been one of the hardest working individuals throughout the time since we've been back, even in January, February. He kind of sat there and said, man, this young man's going to make a difference. We always knew he had blazing speed. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands. If you go back and watch his high school film, and he's matured greatly. He understands our route concepts and what we want to do in the passing game. He gets it. He does it the right way. And so, he certainly has earned the right to play quite a bit for us. We're excited. He's a name that, as you guys over the last few months have watched, who's somebody that's coming on nicely. And Taj has certainly been one of those guys, and really can't wait to watch him out there.
All right. Thanks, Coach, for your time.
Thank you, guys. Y'all be safe and well. Look forward to seeing y'all soon. Take care.